Welcome everybody to Rad Pod and Chill. I'm Heidi Kuda. I'm here with a dancing High Fidelity and Jim Stewartson. This is Radicalized Truth Survives Thursday night live stream where we talk about the news, talk about our most recent episode, do some laughing, talk some smack, and have an all-around good time. Jim, why don't you kick us off with whatever is on your mind? And Hi-Fi, would you be a mutant motherfucker while you make your cocktail over there, please?
Oops.
Every single time. I mean, you guys missed it. Maybe you'll see it one day when we do the documentary.
Bloopers.
I literally just told Hi-Fi to mute. He can't do it. He can't take orders. I'm usually.
Won't tell me what to do.
I'm slightly at a loss. I've been tweeting all day, and I'm not sure what to talk about first. But seems to be a lot of hand wringing out there, and a number of fronts. I can usually tell, to be honest with you, what the level of anxiety is. By how many times Joe Flynn tries to troll me in a given day. There's like it's really, I should do like a mathematical formula on the deep shit his brother is in and the number of times that Joe Flynn tries to own me on shitter. And
Can I ask a question? Do you think he gets paid by the tweet to harass you?
No. Thanks to my dear friends at Gal Squad, I recently saw that Joe Flynn signed his name to $7.7 million that went into the Americas Project. That's a lot of change, Joe Flynn, in 2021.
Yeah.
$7.7 million with Joe Flynn's signature at the bottom, and 200 of it went straight into Joe Flynn's consulting company. So I think he has a lump sum of funds that so he does it because he wants the funds to continue, and he doesn't want to go to prison with his brother.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's interesting because he's always like, find Jesus, and then he says like terrible things, and it's like I don't know what Jesus he's talking about, but he continually loses his religion from tweet to tweet.
He doesn't have religion, and you can tell by the way that he snarks at it. I mean, he does, but like his brother, like he believes in some crazy shit about ascended masters and stuff like that. He doesn't want to admit it, but the evidence is clear, Joe.
If he doesn't believe in religion, does he believe in witness tampering?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a second.
Yeah, that's interesting.
You could almost think about that, like rat bastard. Seems like Mike also had a few comments. Doesn't surprise me a bit. He's a rat. He's a rat. Again, let's just think about it. Who calls people a rat?
Yeah.
Who says that? Who says you're a rat?
Mobsters.
That's some gangster shit right there.
Yeah.
The fucking mob does. Gangsters say that when they're the people they thought they were gonna be loyal all the way to the end flip. Like Lin Wood appears to have done. My dear friend Jay Rance has called it the flippening.
The flippening, I like that.
That's so good.
Because there are a number of different flippenings that have been going on. Oh, here's an interesting thing. Lin Wood, who is doing the flippening, claims that he's not flipping on anyone who's indicted.
Ooh.
Now that's interesting.
This is like a game of Clue, like the candlestick and the library and OMG.
I mean, if you're testifying for Fannie Willis and you're not testifying about somebody who's been indicted, who does that leave? Well, there were a number of people that Fannie Willis got recommendations from her grand jury that said you should indict these motherfuckers, and she didn't yet. Thing, who knows, Joe? But Lynn's talking about somebody. Ooh, one other thing. This is fun.
This is good.
So on the witness list for Fannie Willis's near-term case next month against Kenneth Chesebro and Sidney Catherine Powell.
Chesebro.
Guess who's on the
Cheesy bro.
I know.
Yoo-hoo.
I know. Jesse Binnell.
Lead lawyer in Flynn versus Stewartson. Also, lead lawyer in somebody versus Khalifa Haftar, the Libyan warlord that both Wagner and Eric Prince supported in the Civil War, which got Eric Prince indicted in Austria for fucking war crimes or some shit. Anyways, so Jesse also, this is fun, was flipped on himself by two fake electors in Nevada who went, yo, we better start talking because otherwise you're going to indict us. So let's flip on Jesse Binnell, who signed his name to the fake elector shit in Nevada. So we've got there's a lot of puckering. I said there's a flippening, and then as a result of the flippening comes the puckering.
The puckering.
So we're in mid puckering, it seems.
We're in the puckering stage. I would suggest those who don't know who Mr. Binnell is, picture George Santos playing a MAGA attorney on TV, and that'll kind of give you an idea. And Jim, I think it's a good place for our new friends who have only tuned in recently to talk about when the Lin Wood Mike Flynn split occurred and why, because I think you might know a little bit about that. What is Heidi up to?
There may have been, and it may have been one of our first episodes, I believe, where we talked about Satangate.
Mm-hmm.
And Satangate was the consequences of Mike Flynn getting caught by someone, I don't know, someone out there, caught Mike Flynn having a Christian audience chant a theosophical occult prayer by Elizabeth Clare Prophet, who is an IM cult leader. And after that happened, Lin Wood and a bunch of other people who, had generally supported that whole thing were like, that boy's a Satanist. That boy believes in the devil. That's not Jesus Christ. And so they got all super mad at him, including Mr. Lin Wood. Now, one must be very careful with anything that involves Lin Wood, because Lin Wood has been making shit up in various legal cases and being a character in various plays over many years, including Elon Musk and some other really shady shit. However, it actually does appear that Lin Wood has taken and I hear you, I see you, Hi-Fi.
I see you too, Hi-Fi.
But it really does appear that Lin Wood flipped on Mike Flynn during the Satangate era, and has never gotten over it, because Flynn lied to Lin Wood over and over again, including Mike Flynn told Lin Wood that Q was a CIA operation.
So I know
because he didn't trust Lin Wood, and apparently the favor was returned.
I thank you for that, Jim. I think it's very good historic reference and a good reminder. And do you remember there was a time when not a week would go by where Hi-Fi wasn't saying some network stuff about Lin Wood and Joseph Lonsdale, and it'd be like, oh, come on, Hi-Fi, give us a break. But you know what? Turns out our networkologist over here was right on. Yeah. Yes, Hi-Fi. What's going on?
So one of the things I did in IT a lot was I drew network diagrams for stuff. You know, you got your servers over here and your routers over here and your storage over there and switches. And so I drew a lot of network maps, is what I call them. And they, you know, they're useful when you're trying to troubleshoot things in a network, right? Well, I decided, because Lin Wood has been out in the freaking news so much, I decided to make a network. I'm going to tell you just a little bit about the network of Lin Wood. I mean, we know, right? We know that we have the Georgia RICO case, and Sidney Powell has been charged, right? Yeah. We know that there was planning at Timotley, Lin Wood's property. Yes. Who else was at Timotley? Why, that would be Michael Flynn.
Right? I have pictures of Mike Flynn cutting the turkey at Thanksgiving. In 2020, Thanksgiving was a real interesting time in 2020.
Interesting.
And remember this little box right here. This is lying to the FBI case in, what was that, 2016, 2017, something like that.
Yeah.
So there's those connections amongst those three, right?
Yeah.
And then there's another person in the Georgia RICO case who's involved, and that's Mr. Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah.
But Lin Wood and Rudy Giuliani aren't just connected through the Georgia RICO case. No, they have another connection, a fellow named John M. Pierce. Right?
Yeah.
John M. Pierce.
You don't like John Pierce. I know
that. He worked with Lin Wood on the Rittenhouse fundraiser over here, the Give, Send, Go fundraiser, right?
That would be Hi-Fi's introduction to all of this fuckery.
Yeah. And then he also did work for Rudy Giuliani at Pierce Bainbridge. All right. So that's just kind of a brief overview of some of the coup participants, right?
Data points.
Data points. Now, I want to give you a little bit of history, though.
Oh, boy.
If you go back.
And now,
if you go,
a little history from High Fidelity.
A little history. If you go back to 2015.
Theater.
Lin Wood appeared in a case against Joseph Lonsdale.
Yeah.
Joseph Lonsdale is a very rich billionaire. He started a university down in Austin. He's anti-woke. He's also giving Ron DeSantis a bunch of money. So that's pretty interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah. And then if you fast forward to 2019, Lin Wood appears against Elon Musk in the Unsworth v. Musk, the pedo cave guy case, if you'll remember.
Can you stop for a second? Because are you trying to suggest that Lin Wood could have been controlled opposition there somehow?
Maybe.
Okay.
It just seems odd.
Continue.
Because you can't really mention Joe Lonsdale and Elon Musk without mentioning I froze up. Peter Thiel.
I was waiting for that Peter Thiel moment. Oh my God.
You screwed that up, man. You needed that Peter Thiel moment. You needed the deal right before this.
Yeah, I should have put it in. All right, you're right. Anyway,
that's right. That's right. This is very.
Oh, hi. Thanks for checking in. I'm still a piece of garbage.
Pretty good. Pretty good. I like that.
I'll just throw it in randomly. Anyway, so Peter Thiel, as we all know, funded MAGA 3X, which was, General Flynn's political committee thing at the 2016 RNC, right? And there's some interesting things here because, Joe, Elon, and Peter all worked at PayPal, right? not only that, but Peter and Joe, they created Palantir. And if you know anything about the Great Hack, you'll know that Palantir actually helped Cambridge Analytica scrape data from Facebook.
Wow.
And then you'll also know that Elon Musk and Peter Thiel funded Stripe together. The reason that matters is because Give, Send, Go used to use PayPal and Stripe, and then PayPal dropped them after I made a bunch of noise. And now they're only using Stripe.
And
but there's another person.
Well, wait, Stripe is also Jack fucking Dorsey. So if anybody,
but AKA the ball slapper. Before you move on, explain to our audience your animos toward Give, Send, Go in one sentence.
I asked Give, Send, Go to take down the Rittenhouse fundraiser because I don't think you should fundraise off of murder, and they said no.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, continue.
I don't like it when I get told no. Anyway.
Okay, continue.
All right, so this fellow right here in the white, Mr. Sergey Grishin, found out he actually had done business with Mr. John M. Pierce before in a lawsuit known as Grishin v. Sulcus. And I was examining this, August, September of 2020. Eventually, Mother Jones caught on and wrote an article called Escape from the Billionaire Meme Lord. Sergey, well, what's interesting about Sergey is he actually worked with Joe Lonsdale. Initially, it was called SGVC, and then it changed its name to Group 11 VC. So these four fellas down here in this left corner, they all work together. Weird.
And what's weird is Sergey Grishin is the billionaire oligarch who stole billions out of the Russian bank in Russia, and then came here. And at some point when Hi-Fi was mapping out this particular network, Sergey got Hi-Fi banned off of Twitter the first time with one of those takedown letters. And what's also interesting,
a DMCA.
And what's also very interesting about that is Sergey is now no longer with us because as a very young man, he died of a strange brain disease of some sort after he went back to Russia. Anyway, so tie this up and let's move on.
So there's your entire network around Lin Wood that really needs investigated. That's all.
As he takes another hit. You brought it home, brother. You brought it home.
You landed the plane.
You landed the plane.
It wasn't a whiteboard. It wasn't conspiratorial.
No, it was great.
I thought it was laid out pretty well.
That was good.
It was very clean. I do want to say something though, as somebody who has rewatched the A Storm Foretold, the Roger Stone documentary. I do want to point out, upon my third viewing, I noted that Roger Stone felt that Giuliani was too sketchy for even him when he said that Giuliani is too into the booze and the P word, which I will not say on live tweeters. But I just thought that was interesting. It's like, wow, even a supervillain like Stone has his, a bar that he doesn't go below, and Giuliani was below that bar.
It's not a moral bar, right? It's literally that Giuliani is too fucking shit hammered all day.
Yeah.
Starting at like 8 o'clock in the morning to be trusted with anything because he'll sit on his phone and like dial his phone or something and like tell everybody his plans. Like
it's a bad scene, man.
It's incredible that there's a video. It is one of the greatest videos I've ever seen. I'll try and dig it up, which is about Rudy Giuliani describing the entire sexual reproductive system of kangaroos.
Yeah, I know. I remember seeing that on something you posted.
It's absolutely astonishing to listen to him describe in loving detail how the tiny kangaroo moves in the pouch, and he's not.
Yeah, he's what we used to call a dipsomaniac. One thing I do want to say in all seriousness about the storm foretold, while it is certainly weak in some parts, certainly in talking about how Stone worked essentially as a Russian propagandist, one thing that's very important, as my friend Hi-Fi says, is the entire film is basically documenting a crime scene. So it's very important to see it. And we ask once again, our Justice Department, why is Stone still free when not only is he not hiding in, I mean, he's literally in plain sight committing crimes against our country. And now there's a, entire film that is essentially documenting a crime scene. So I'd really love an answer to that because it's unclear to me.
They know. They know. Yeah. They already know all that, right? They know what is going on. There's something preventing the fucking Justice Department or any from doing their job. Now, again, Jack Smith, just like he's a baby. He just came over from the fucking Hague, 10 months ago, right? And he's done a lot, given some people hope that shit's gonna happen. Fannie Willis, who know? I don't know what's going on. But look, there is a zone, there is a cone of invincibility around the previously mentioned Peter Thiel, Roger Stone, Mike Flynn, Steve Bannon, Eric Prince. Or you can add a whole bunch of other people, the Jenny Thomases, and all these fucking people. But there's 5 guys who are openly, blatantly, for a decade now, committing crimes against America in public.
Yeah.
Myself and many, many, many other people have documented these things, not with our conspiracy theories or whiteboards or anything, with facts and fucking facts.
Yeah.
And the only conclusion one can reach is that there is some unknown reason for that, because the vast majority of people who actually look at this are like, this doesn't make any fucking sense. Here's these people committing crimes and going against the United States of America. Why isn't that? Why aren't you doing anything? And so, my entire kind of attitude at this point is stop being on fucking defense about this stuff. Look, there's a gap of knowledge that needs to be closed, right? Between most of us out here going like, what in the motherfucker, versus 2 alternate realities. One is QAnon, fucking, the world is a degenerate shithole. But on the other side is the mainstream media who fucked up 2016, fucked up like 2020, have been
fucking up 2023.
Really a long time, and they're about to, fuck up 2024. And so my intention is to do everything in my power to prevent the press from doing what they did last time, which is to both sides us into
fascism,
into fascism, and to continuously platform liars and frauds who are misleading everybody about what's going on out there. So I'm landing my plane. We need to start going on offense and holding not just the government, but the press, because the press are the ones who have the power to put the pressure on the government, which will make change. If we do not make our voices heard, both directly and through media, we will get nowhere. So I'm just saying that, as far as sort of my focus these days, it's like, come on, man, MSNBC, you could do better with your entire morning, which is just fucking Republican light all morning long. Like, fix your shit. What are you doing? Like, there's some basic things that we need to do. We need to shore up our voice.
I got lots to say, but hi-fi, you're clearly. Yes, well,
it's not even just the TV people.
Well,
Foreign
yes,
affairs, like this is work I read, I enjoy. They're pretty much on top of things, but this is the biggest milquetoast, just pathetic.
So
I'm disgusted with it.
Let me speak on that, because it actually was very thorough. If you don't mind what I call parroticizing by omission, Russia's not mentioned. The fact that Russia has been using our history of racial strife as a wedge issue to exploit our country, to make us hate each other, and that many of the operatives that are pushing white supremacy are actually from St. Petersburg. It's like that was completely left out of this article, and I call that parasitizing by omission. I also, as Jim was saying about liars and fraudsters, Rupert Murdoch just stepped down from Fox after his almost $1 billion admission to Dominion of, the fact that he knowingly didn't prevent his anchors from promoting the big lie and putting dipsomaniacs like Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell, who their own anchors thought, were nuts, on air to further lie to the American people. That matters. Jim, you speak on it, and then I want to mention something that occurred right before we filmed, which really threw me.
Yeah, look, white supremacy has been around in America since the motherfucking beginning. It was born on white supremacy. Let's not fucking forget that. But this neo-Nazi movement, this explosion in neo-Nazism is new, and so in the 1980s and stuff, you had a bunch of, we won't get historic, but you had the start of the modern neo-Nazi movement.
Yeah.
And we are now, that was not some foreign intelligence thing, right?
Yeah.
It was a bunch of fucking racists who wanted to revive Hitler, right? But what happens is that the Kremlin and other foreign nations, as well as people inside the U.S. who want to sow division, they find these little areas of discord. They write about it themselves. You can read it from them. They find these areas of discord and they amplify them. They explode them, right?
Yeah.
And so for many, many years, decades, they were doing that largely from outside with the help of some infiltrators.
Yeah.
But they've been able to convert a whole bunch of people into Kremlin propagandists.
Yeah.
And a lot of them don't even know it. They just reflexively, ooh, you've got a Ukraine flag in your bio, you're a Nazi, right? It's literally programming. It's like brainwashing that's been put into these people's brains. So Hi-Fi, of course, knows that Iron March, which is where a large percentage of the existing sort of neo-Nazi strains came from a guy named Alisher Mukdinatov, I think I got that right, who went to Kremlin spy school, who went to PSYOP school in Moscow, and started Iron March. From Iron March came Atomwaffen, came Azov, which we've heard so much about. Golden Dawn, a bunch of this stuff that has come from the neo-Nazi movement was started on a Russian intelligence website. And it's really, really important that we understand that, and I'll land in a minute, but we've got Wagner over here, right? Remember Wagner?
Yeah.
Founded by a literal, like, swastika-having Nazi, right? All their fucking accounts out there that are propagandizing on Twitter had 88 in the name and had all kinds of fucking Nazi stuff. They did not hide that they were Nazis. It's not that it wasn't Adolf who were the Nazis. It's these motherfuckers, and they are so we need to understand that all this Nazi shit that's going on in America, yeah, it originates in the core of America's original sin, right? We came from, building our own wealth and power on top of the backs of dead Native Americans and dead African Americans, right? We have to fucking own that. Yeah. However, that does not excuse foreign intelligence services from coming over here and making it worse.
Yes. Yes.
And we have got to learn the difference between people who are just Nazis, right? Yeah. And people who are being brainwashed over and over and over again to believe this shit. Because if we don't start paying attention to the fact that it's growing every single day, we're just going to lose.
I remember, thank you, Jim. I remember when I first met you and I told you that, when I was a news producer in broadcast news at a local Fox affiliate. And, there were times when there'd be a ratings sag and I'd have to go round up some neo-Nazis and I would find something else to do. I remember doing the punk voter instead this one time. Fat Mike from NoFX Punk Voter Tour, the Rock Against Bush Tour. I just came back with something that I knew would rate and still would have Mohawks or whatever. Something that would grab viewers. But my point is, you said, Heidi, that's not what this is. You said that they are breeding them on Telegram and these platforms. And of course, that all led to our very first story about the, what did we call it? The brainwashed cult, something or other. I don't remember the title of it, but our very first story on QAnon for Byline Times. And of course, it's still proliferating. Every time we get another mass shooting and we trace their digital DNA and you find them in a chat group where they're usually on a platform funded by a Russian operative being radicalized to go out and commit murders. And it's and we do nothing.
Do we lose Heidi?
Heidi?
Heidi? Oh, no. Oh, no. Yeah.
We lost Heidi. You know, there's only one thing I can think to do right now. Play a clip.
Sounds good.
Sort of red-brown alliance of the left-wing disinformation is why don't you speak to any Ukrainian people?
Well, that's it, isn't it? Why don't you talk to any fucking Ukrainians? Because they're afraid to, right? I mean, one of the most just jaw-dropping, things, and every day has jaw-dropping shit. While Zelensky is in the Capitol, McCarthy is simultaneously tried to cut funding to Ukraine, where war crimes are being committed against. Tens of thousands have been murdered, hundreds of thousands of people have been trafficked, millions and millions of people have been displaced. What is going on, right? We all want to, what's going on? How can this possibly happen? It's simple. And this is the thing that we need to get across to the media so that they can start putting the pressure on law enforcement and the government. It's explainable. It's Kremlin infiltration into a network that is actively waging psychological war on American citizens.
Yes.
It's that simple. And if you think about it in those ways, if you think about it as an attack on people, then you can start to make sense of Aunt Jody, who just went off the fucking crazy train last week, right? Or you going to visit your mom and what the fuck happened to mom or my sister, whatever, right? You can start to make sense of that. But the media is too goddamn feckless and scared to admit that there's an attack like this going on that the government and no one else wants to tell us about. That's the fundamental broken thing about the system is we can all see it. We can see the results of it. We can see the weaponry being deployed. We can see how it all sort of comes together. But no one wants to explain the reasons and the purpose and the people behind it, because the implications of that are so dire, right?
Yeah.
And that's the problem we have is that they're scared of saying something that might be controversial at the expense of allowing us to die in a fire, right?
Well, I mean, they'd have to acknowledge that the 2016 election was not legitimate. If you've got
Nicole came close today, I have to say. She got into it today.
Good. I mean, if you've got the Russian military working with U.S. traitors to install Trump, and that's not how we do things in America. People vote for a candidate, and we have issues around that, which we can bring up, which go back to Roger Stone and whatnot. But again, it's like 2016, even the old GOP Senate intelligence report came up with, the fact that Russia impacted our election and influenced the 2016 election. So they'd have to really admit to that. And that is why Roger Stone Stop the Steal, which started in 2016 and got rebooted for 2020, is so incredibly criminal, because it's like, oh, well, then Hillary didn't win in 2016. And then, Trump, then Biden isn't an authentic president. It's like it's these false equivalencies. But I just need to say something really fast. We talked earlier about lack of consequences and why is that? And if criminals who have committed crimes against our country, and certainly when their seditious friends are going to prison, you have to wonder why they have not been indicted yet. But without consequences, things don't change or things get worse. And so I bring this up because one of the things in my life for the last 4 years that I've done that just I have managed to somehow, through being an activist, always treat myself to my farmer's market and my favorite frickin' sheep's yogurt. Today, the person that I have been going to for all these years was complaining about the gas prices. And I said, well, that's just the Saudis and Russians artificially inflating the price to try to get Trump, reinstalled and make Biden look bad, and that'll change, that'll change, and I go, and I'm really hoping that the American people don't fall for it. And that is when this person said, oh, I love Trump. Trump is my guy. And I don't look at Biden as an authentic president. And despite what we preach on this show, despite all of that, I started to hear myself say, I'm an investigative reporter. I've investigated Trump since the aughts. He's uniquely criminal and always has ripped people. And I started to say this, and then I just was like, I don't want anything. And I could hear a yelp come out of this person. And I realized that I'm no longer going to support this small business because I'm not going to support a business where the person running it thinks Trump's a great guy in 2023 and does not acknowledge Joe Biden as the authentic president. So there's consequences. And it's like, that's one person doing something small, might not even be the right thing to do. We always try to talk about connecting, but no, I'm not going to do it. I don't even want it anymore. It just makes me sick to think that I didn't know that. But California has more Trump supporters than most states because we have more people here. So it shouldn't surprise me, but it does kind of break my heart a bit. But yeah, I don't have to support it.
I've been having some actually conversations with people about this on GLD jitter, because I think that is a perfectly reasonable attitude, and I would very likely make that choice as well. However, I also think that it's very important that we not define people by what they believe as opposed to what they do, right? There's a crisis of lies, right? There's like, people have been lied to so much over the last 8 years that there's a huge impact, right? There's just a giant psychological crater, right? And what is not going to be possible is to only talk to and only support people that agree with us about stuff.
Yeah.
Trump in particular is really interesting and a very important sort of example. So let me talk about one thing for a second. There's a large QAnon account that has been called In the Matrix, run by a guy named Jeffrey Peterson, who has been doing really solid work on looking at Mike Flynn and Roger Stone and their involvement in J6, and just, sort of noticing, holy fuck, these people who have been promoted by this movement that I believe in, and these people really deeply still believe in the core QAnon shit. He's, like, these are not good people. Why? And for somebody like that, it takes some courage, because the entire cult went bananas and started attacking them. And that's, to go against people that are supposedly on the same team as you because there's something that you think is wrong, takes some courage.
Yeah. And
so I find that interesting, and with a lot of context, I've shared a few things that he's done. And I think it's important to encourage that. Jeffrey also believes in a lot of really horrible shit. He is that Trump is the thing. Like the reason why he's mad at Mike Flynn is that he thinks that Flynn has gone against Trump, right? As opposed to understanding that Trump and Flynn are on the same team and have been since 2015, right? He's trying to separate these things in his mind, right? So, but my choice is I can either reject him entirely and just hands off, because he still has all these other beliefs, and he's been doing QAnon shit and grifting off of it or making money from it for a long time. All of that's wrong. It's just deeply fucking wrong. However, he seems like a person who is genuinely, sincerely trying to come to grips with a reality that doesn't make sense to him.
Okay.
A person like that, I believe, should not be rejected out of hand.
Yeah.
And as my rule is simple. If you treat me with normal human respect, and you are not intentionally harming people, and you are not committing crimes, I will talk to you.
Yeah.
That's it. Those are only things. If you believe in Trump and like you're, I don't know, cutting my hair or something, I'm gonna like walk out because you believe in Trump, unless I believe you're gonna stab me in the throat or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have to get used to this idea that there are people who don't believe in the shit that we believe in, because over time we are going to have to bring these people back to reality, whether we like it or not. We cannot reject 45% of the voting population
Mm-hmm.
who say they are going to vote for 45%. It is not the case that 45% of the American people are bad, evil, terrible people who love Nazis.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the case. It just isn't. Most of those people have been coerced into that belief. And I think it's really important, in between ranting and raging and fucking going as hard as we can after every Nazi we see, that if there are green shoots in a field of hatred, it is okay to to the extent you're comfortable and understand the context, is okay to have conversations with people.
Yes, I preach that, Jim, and I know that.
No, you do. That wasn't
No. I'm just gonna finish. I'll land my plane because I definitely needed to hear. I was so happy that this occurred, and I knew I was going to see you guys because it was important to me. And as soon as we started recording, I just was like, I already felt better. For me, it's like the life of an independent investigative reporter the last 7 years has been brutal and hard and financially difficult. So I have the choice now to not take what little I got and spend it where somebody doesn't acknowledge that Joe Biden is our president. And that's okay for me. You can like Trump, think he's cool, whatever. But if and again, I understand because we do a show about radicalization. I know, but I also think that this person now has consequences. She has consequences. She's lost a customer, and that's okay. She can go ahead and still not believe that Joe Biden is president, and she can still love Trump. And I can find another yogurt dealer, and I will. The yogurt dealer may be apolitical, maybe likes Trump, but the yogurt dealer will acknowledge the reality that Joe Biden is our president.
Sorry, go ahead.
I also have to say that I'm dealing with familial sickness, and I'm dealing with a lot right now, and I'm also dealing with a family member who's on Hunter Biden watch all the time, reporting what Hunter Biden's up to. And I've had to explain Hunter Biden is just another person with a spiritual malady who, just like other people we know, was it has been in recovery for his isms, and his dad loves him, but he's the president's son. I'm like, yeah, and his dad loves him, and he probably made some bad decisions, and so I've had to kind of deal with that. It's like I get news updates on Hunter Biden all the time, and it's like I know that it's all to weaken President Biden heading into 2024, but it's like it's all around me. And so for me, what I have just come to terms with is that I need a new yogurt dealer, and I'm lactose intolerant anyway, so I can only do like sheep stuff, and then it doesn't bug me, and whatever.
When you're making a choice, go ahead. Sorry.
I gotta say that, look, I will swear on a stack of Bible, Quran, Torah, whatever. If Hunter Biden gets the nomination, I will not vote for Hunter Biden.
Yeah.
But what people are falling for, with the Hunter Biden shtick.
I know. Billy
It's
Beer.
Billy Carter all fucking over again.
I know.
Like,
we know
how
that.
have people forgotten history?
They do. They forget. It's true.
Well, remind them.
Hold on. Okay, stop being silly for a second. I want to say something, but
I'm being serious.
I know you are.
I know you are. I know. Sorry. Heidi, one thing that's really important about what you said and that the left needs to figure out is that the right has their own economy.
Mm-hmm.
They have their own entire networked economy with their own fucking fake medical shit and their own, and like a huge like economy of money that comes from people who are brainwashed, right, upwards into very bad shit. And it's true that individuals who believe in this stuff, their money goes up into this very bad thing. So I agree with you. Given choice between someone who is probably going to be committing money to that economy versus somebody who doesn't, is an important choice. I also think that it's important that the left start getting their shit together. Where are billionaires? Where's our big fundraisers for people? Where's the passion on the fucking left for anyone, for politicians, for people trying to report on this shit, for just their friends and neighbors who don't want to get taken over by a fascist death cult. Like, where's our organization, both financially and in terms of our kind of information systems? In my opinion, like, we are going to, in very short order, need to start putting together systems that can compete against the systems that they have.
Yeah.
And so I did not mean what I had to say about talking to people like this to mean that you should not make real choices in your fucking life about who you're going to support, where you're going to spend your money, any of that stuff. What's important to me is that the human relationship between people try to stay human as much as possible, because the more we fall into in-group and out-group on either side, the faster this thing is going to go
bad,
really, really south. And so my goal is to slow and then stop and reverse the damage that has been done to human beings. That doesn't mean you have to give them your money. So Heidi, you do your thing.
It's emotional for me, Jim, because it's one of the things I look forward to every Thursday, and it's like it really left me saddened. But as we talked through it, it's like that's the decision that I made for me, and I'm very aware that some years from now, because it's already happening in my life, people are becoming aware that Trump has been nothing but a criminal act the whole time, and they're aware of that, and they openly speak about it. It saddens me that there are still so many people who are in a news sphere that still feeds them bullshit about this unique criminal.
It's still on both sides now. It's both sides here, right? Just to be very clear about it. And it's one reason that I think bridging this gap with the, getting journalists who are supposed to be, telling the truth, getting them to understand it.
Jim, can I just tell you, I hold out no hope for that, and I'll tell you why. I listened to a 30-minute interview with a veteran reporter who was so wrong on all fronts, believes in norms, believes that we'll get through, believes that there's a better way to interview and do both sides, believes that platforming propagandists has value, like so wrong. Everything that we have learned on our show and through Ruth and Jason Stanley and Tim Snyder is like, they keep thinking they can play nice with fascists and Kremlin propagandists, and they don't realize that lying is the message, and platforming those liars messes up perfectly decent people's heads. Having So,
journalists are like any other group of people. There are chowderheads who will never ever get it, right? Yeah. But there are also people, and I'm thinking of some people in particular, that are really good people, that are really well-meaning, that are very, very smart, but are one step away from really figuring this fucking thing out. And so I do not think that it's that giving up. Like, I have personally, and I said this publicly today, I've given up on all of them personally.
Yeah.
But I have not, as getting any credit. I don't give a shit. First of all, I don't want it. But I've given up on me getting it, like getting their attention. What I want is just for the information to get their attention, so that they will get off their ass. And I think that there are people that I know for a fact. There are people who are paying attention to these things, including to me personally.
Yes, absolutely. And this is a great moment to thank those people who do support our work, who do see value in what we do, who do support our Substacks and all of that, and our little RadPod Patreon. And we've got merch finally coming up that we're going to be promoting. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. We see you. It means a lot to us to have your support doing this work. So I do want to say that, because it's I think it's important that independent investigative journalists are supported. Hi-Fi on that note. What'd you say?
Hold on a second.
It's important that we have merch.
We do.
Hold on a second.
Oh, this is a good one. I like this one.
I just want to say that everybody's acting like, holy shit, Barr is corrupt. If anybody has been paying attention,
oh my God,
anybody has been paying attention from Iran-Contra
since the dark ages,
to Promise Ins Law, to I mean, there are so many things that Bill Barr stuck his fucking nose in and destroyed. The Mueller report.
He set Mike Flynn free.
Yeah.
He set Mike Flynn free.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, come on.
He also
BCCI. Yeah. Thank you,
look,
Jen.
it's okay. And Nicole did this today with Millie too. There was, because of that story, she went back to Millie, and there's some other shit going on as well. And I'm like, great. Rediscover stuff that I knew 2.5 years ago. I'm perfectly happy for you to rediscover it, because an article came out that everybody knew. I don't give a fuck. Like, good. Let them rediscover these things. I don't. And it's taken me a while to get over the, God damn it, I knew it. I told you.
Yeah.
Because
I know.
It's just going to be an endless supply of those.
Yeah.
Right now it's just like, you said something good. Great.
Yeah.
Here's a cookie. Do it again. I want everybody to have all their cookies ready. I want you to have your virtual flamethrowers ready.
Yeah.
When they start doing stupid shit, and share stuff that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
Like, loudly tag people. Fucking get into it, man. This is not a spectator sport.
No, this is not a test. This is it. I'm looking at my second impeachment, American Compromat author. We have to prosecute Trump to the fullest extent of the law. An article I did with Craig Unger 2.5 years ago, which opens with the Soviet Union collapsing. America had won the Cold War, and Attorney General Bill Barr, under President George H.W. Bush, decided to repurpose agents away from Russia to focus on the crack cocaine epidemic, which allowed us to take our eye off of all the Russian operatives and spies that managed to infiltrate our country and compromise people like Rudy Giuliani and Donald Jessica Trump. On that, this is amazing.
Brilliant bars.
Hey, guess what?
Amazing.
You two weirdos yelling about sharing stuff that's important to you. Here's something that's important.
What are the best words you can offer that we can share with our viewers to get people out of this numbness and this sort of kind of apathetic mind state about the stakes of this war?
So I just want to pick up as well on the thing that you said about the cruelty is the point. I don't want to go into too much detail about some of the testimonies I heard because they are incredibly distressing. But one person I spoke to in a Zoom described the torture of a friend of his. So this was a secondhand piece of information. I didn't speak directly to this victim, but he described how she was denied food when she was being held by the Russians, and when they brought her food, they put it in a toilet bowl. And so it was like, you want food, then you have to eat it out of this toilet bowl. And she was like, I don't want to eat food out of a toilet bowl. But then the other option was she didn't eat and then she would starve. And it was like, what do I do? Do I eat from the toilet bowl or do I starve? The person that I spoke to, who was a torture, like the direct conversation I had with a torture survivor, described how on the third day of being denied food and water, they were like, if you want water, you just need to ask for water. And he was like, can I have some water? And they just poured it on the floor. So he couldn't, they offered him water, but then they poured it on the floor. That is like the minor aspects of the torture when you consider the other experiences that person described to me. But it is a real sign of that cruelty that, this isn't, it's not, the torture goes beyond the physical when you're also doing things like that. I think when I was in a Zoom, I visited the mass graves that are just on the edge of the city. There's a mass grave of 449 people, many or some of whom I'm not sure of the exact figure, died as a result of torture and of extrajudicial killings. Some of them died as a result of shelling. Some of them died as a result of the fact that there was no medicine, there was no electricity, no heating for the period of the occupation. You can't visit a mass grave and not really realize what the stakes are of this conflict. That there's no way that you can see that and be numb. You can't continue to think that this is, to frame that very famous Chamberlain quote about Czechoslovakia, the troubles of a small country far away between people of whom we know nothing. This is in Europe, and almost every person I spoke to said, if we do not respond to this, if Ukraine does not win, then it will be the rest of Europe that is on fire. And so I would really urge anyone that has fatigue, that has supporter apathy, that has that there's just so many terrible things happening in the world. There are terrible things happening in the US, which we obviously know. There are terrible things happening in Libya and in Morocco. We know that the world is a very unstable and dangerous place. But the one thing that you can do for Ukraine is to listen to people who are living in Ukraine. Listen to what they are telling you about the experiences that they are having. Listen to what it means to live through shelling, to lose your home, to lose your loved ones. The last thing I did in Kharkiv before I left this morning was visit the military cemetery, and you stand there and you look at the extent of graves, each one marked by a flag. It was really breezy. All the flags were moving in the breeze, and you look at the ages of these people who were born this century. I'm an 1980s baby, and I was, look at these young men and women who have died as a result of the full-scale invasion. And the thing that we can do to honor them and to respect what has happened here is to listen to those who are asking to be heard, and that is the Ukrainian people.
Last question that I have for you, Sian, is what do Western leaders need to do today?
Everyone I spoke to has said what we need is more weapons and air defenses. So we need to continue to support Ukraine with weapons. We need to support them with air defenses. But also, when I spoke to civilians, it's the humanitarian aid as well is really important. This woman I spoke to that I mentioned, this 74-year-old, at first she didn't want to speak to me. She was like, I don't want to talk to the media because who is helping me? Who is helping me? And then she sort of mellowed a bit and let us talk to her some more. but that sense of feeling abandoned, that they're not getting the help that they need. But the crucial thing is to be able to fight back and to win this war, because, as I say, like, particularly people who worked either in the police or in local government were like, if we do not win in Ukraine, then all of Europe will be on fire.
That's fucking right.
Sian Norris reporting from Ukraine. Investigative reporter Sian Norris.
Yeah. That was dark, man.
Important.
But people need to hear that. It's very important. You know, when Kevin McCarthy doesn't have the class to allow Zelensky to address Congress, we're in a very dark place. And it needs to stop. And we all know who dragged us there, because Prigozhin said we nightmared America, and we need to wake them up.
Yeah, and
Kevin McCarthy said Vladimir Putin pays two people.
Yeah.
Warbacher in 2016.
Yeah.
So that will tell you just how much moral fiber Kevin McStumblefuck has.
Yeah. And while we're at it, can we 14th Amendment the shit out of Tuberville or what?
Or what?
Yeah. We got some work ahead.
We do.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. As Jim and Hi-Fi always says, we're going to win, but we got a lot of work ahead.
I got one little thing we think we need to watch before we go.
The burning of the Quran, the holy book for Muslims, in Sweden rocked the world. Reports soon found the event was funded by a journalist linked to Russia. It's the latest instance of Kremlin hybrid wars. Since 2014, Russia covertly spent $300 million to meddle abroad. Where did the money go? GRU, Russia's military intelligence, was behind the US election meddling in 2016.
It employed hundreds of people.
Moscow calls it
information warfare against the United States.
It also used a hacking stunt in France, leaking Emmanuel Macron's campaign files to prevent him from winning the 2017 election.
They attacked my website first, so cyber attack.
The Kremlin helped the French far-right candidate Marine Le Pen get loans from Moscow banks.
Auprès d'une banque russe.
Long before the invasion of Ukraine, Russian saboteurs blasted large ammunition depots in the Czech Republic, disrupting military deliveries to Kyiv. Then came an attempted coup in Montenegro, where Russia's intelligence plotted to kill the country's pro-Western PM Milo Djukanovic. Luckily for the Balkan country, they botched it. And then there are scores of Russian spies. Like the one caught with a fake Brazilian passport. He tried to get a job at the International Criminal Court in The Hague that investigates Russia's war crimes. Just over the last 2 years, the EU and the US alone kicked out over 600 Russian operatives posing as diplomats. And now the most chilling part. It's assassin squads that hunt Kremlin critics worldwide. Their tea laced with radioactive polonium killed Russian former spy officer Alexander Litvinenko in Great Britain. In 2019, they murdered a Chechen dissident in broad daylight in Berlin. Germany branded it as state terrorism. So what's Russia's endgame? It just wants things its way.